Alright guys, we have some concrete news about Avengers Doomsday, and on the one hand, it is pretty disappointing. On the other hand, I think it's fine, and I think that actually there's nothing to worry about. So, we now have confirmation, thanks to a Variety interview with Benedict Cumberbatch, Doctor Strange himself, where he confirms a surprising amount of detail. Now, interestingly, Benedict Cumberbatch, because when he was talking about all these things about the Avengers films, and then at one point he was like, is that a spoiler? And then he just said, F it, in clean language. And it's interesting because Benedict Cumberbatch has been known to be the one on these press tours who is very tight-lipped about spoilers, so leads me to believe either, I don't know, maybe he's going through something, or, maybe he's just, all cares to the wind and he doesn't really care about spoilers anymore. This isn't really a spoiler, guys. Let's be honest. In my opinion, this is probably something where he cleared it for sure, because Variety, it's a big outlet. Like, I'm sure he cleared this with Kevin Feige, and he was like, hey, can I mention that I'm not in Doomsday? And Kevin Feige was like, sure, doesn't matter. And so I'm pretty sure that this was going to be, announced pretty soon. And so we have our confirmation now from Benedict Cumberbatch that he says, and he's very explicit about why, which is an interesting thing, he is no longer going to be a part of Avengers Doomsday. Now, he was never going to be a part of Avengers Doomsday, per se, because what he says in this article, in this interview, is that he was actually going to be a big part of Avengers Kang Dynasty. But that film, because of all the drama with Jonathan Majors, is no longer happening, and he was going to be a part of that film. And he says here that because they redid a lot of stuff with Avengers Kang Dynasty, that he, was no longer going to fit in the picture. And his character of Doctor Strange just was not, he says, quote, the character not aligning with this part of the story, and he is not going to be a part of Avengers Doomsday. However, he does say that Doctor Strange is going to be in, quote, a lot of Avengers Secret Wars. This is what he says, quote, he's quite central to where things might go. And then he says, the character will appear in also a third standalone film. And, that he talks about that a little bit more as well. He talks about how collaborative Marvel is being with the third Doctor Strange film. So that is sort of a side thing that, yes, Doctor Strange will appear in a third solo film as well. But again, the big news here, right, is the fact that, hey, Doctor Strange himself, Benedict Cumberbatch, will not be. And arguably, Benedict Cumberbatch is one of the big, marquee actors left in the MCU. Because let's be honest, right? Even Mark Ruffalo, for example, his version of Hulk right now is just not enough to draw people into the theaters. With the way that Thor: Love and Thunder went, I don't think Thor is as much. I'm sure Chris Hemsworth, is close to the top. You have Tom Holland, who I think is a draw, but not in the same way that Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man was, or Chris Evans as Captain America was, right? I think that, it's interesting because, Benedict Cumberbatch was not really, he was sort of a big star in the sense, compared to other MCU characters and actors. And so it's interesting to see that he will not be a part of the Doomsday film. Now, the question then becomes, what then does this say about Avengers Doomsday and or Secret Wars? Well, first of all, him being a big part of Secret Wars, I think is actually, it makes a lot of sense, because I think that whatever's going on with Incursions, obviously set up in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, that is definitely going to get paid off in Secret Wars. I think that Secret Wars will be a lot about Incursions. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Doctor Strange was not in the post-credit scene for Avengers Doomsday, and wherever he went with Clea perhaps is going to play a big part in why Doomsday happens in the first place. Maybe Doctor Strange is missing, and that's a big part, reason why that the character himself can't be there. But that's also a big reason why the characters maybe get, their butts handed to them by Doctor Doom in Avengers Doomsday. And also what that indicates to me, because there are a lot of rumors going around, and again, I don't look at every single rumor, I don't, let's pay attention to every single scoop or whatever, but a lot of the rumors that going around say that indicate that there are going to be some Avengers teams formed by Captain America, Sam Wilson, also Captain Marvel will be there, probably Wong will be there, so Wong will be there to represent Kamar-Taj and represent the mystic arts, but Doctor Strange himself not being there, obviously he disappeared at the end of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and I think it might indicate, and this is what I've been saying all along, we talk about, is Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield going to show up in Doomsday and Secret Wars? And I go, for sure, Secret Wars. Like, if I had to bet anything on these characters like Wolverine, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield showing up in Secret Wars, for sure, I would, it's way higher than 50-50. But in Doomsday, I wouldn't be surprised. I've been saying this for a while. I wouldn't be surprised if Doomsday was much more self-contained, right? Infinity War was a huge universe trotting kind of film where they went everywhere and whatnot. But it's almost like, comparing it to the first Avengers, like maybe it's just really earthbound. Maybe it's just bound to a single city, like New York City again. I don't know again, but maybe it's just bound to Earth, right? And things just happen. Dr. Doom just shows up there, and then Secret Wars is the big explosion of Battle World and whatnot. That might be my indication of what's going on here, and this might be really a battle of strength and a battle of just hero against villain, the Avengers, right? Whoever the Avengers are, you're going to probably see them reassemble here in Avengers Doomsday to fight off this threat of, oh, this guy, Dr. Doom, who is he? Kind of looks like Iron Man, whatever. And then at the end of the film, maybe Dr. Doom wins, Dr. Doom loses, but whatever happens at the end will probably set up the events of, it'll set off a chain reaction that heads towards Battle World or Secret Wars or whatever they're doing with that. So I think that's what this indicates here. Also, like we talked about in the rumor segment, Doctor Strange 3 will happen. And I think we talked about in the rumor segment of the question is really just when, right? When is it going to happen? And, but yeah, Doctor Strange 3 being, happening is pretty much a lock. I would say, there's probably a better chance it comes out after Avengers Secret Wars at this point. So looks like Benedict Cumberbatch will be sticking around for a while, and seems like he's pretty game to do that. And then, Doctor Strange himself as a character is not like Spider-Man, where you need to be young perpetually, unless you're telling a middle-aged Spider-Man story and you're swinging around and doing all these physical things. I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch is probably just waving his hands around, behind a blue screen, and sure, the wire work and whatnot. But I think this is a character where, and also he has the gray in his hair already, like the character does. I mean, so, this is a character that he could be playing for quite a while. So anyways, we've gotten confirmation now that Benedict Cumberbatch will not be one of the characters returning for, one of the actors returning for Avengers Doomsday. But, we've had, yet to receive a full cast list, and so I'm looking forward to when that will happen. Maybe at Comic-Con we'll get the cast of Avengers Doomsday before or while they're in the middle of filming. We'll see what happens there. What do you think about Doctor Strange not appearing in Avengers Doomsday but being a big part of Secret Wars, and also confirming that he will have a third film at some point? Let me know in the comments down below.